Welcome to the Miami Jewish Film Festival, the world's largest festival of its kind. We want to thank all of our members, our sponsors, community partners, all of you film lovers, and especially our presenting sponsors, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education and the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, for their continued support throughout all these years. My name is Rabbi Jesse Chern of Beit Shira Congregation, and I'm excited to be moderating a virtual conversation with director Aya Elia from the movie Dafika Vadelet, Knock on the Door, which is premiering at this year's festival. Thank you all for joining us. Aya, shalom. Thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you again, Toda Rabbah, for this incredible film. This film, it was impactful, raw, and personal. You brought your parents into the project and expressed great vulnerability. At the same time, your film strikes a chord with any viewer with a loved one in the military. How did your parents respond when you told them that you would be directing this film?
First of all, thank you, Rabbi Jesse. It's a privilege to be here, speaking to you and with the viewers. Fortunately, I have an amazing parents, and I think as every good parent, my parents were mostly curious. They were very, very much intrigued to see what will I make. There's so much to say about grief, and there's so much to say about the shchor, the bereavement in Israel. And I'm not sure they had a clue when we first started the film, where will I take it? What would be the main focus for me? So I think they were very much excited, curious, maybe a bit anxious, but from the get-go, they gave me the promise that they're with me in this way.
Thank you. The film, again, so powerful. We know what's going on. We're watching the news, and as Israel continues to fight in this current war to eliminate Hamas, we see the names, ranks, ages, and cities of residence listed of all the fallen soldiers on a daily basis. Your film, it helps audiences outside of Israel better understand this experience from the point of view of the family that is informed, as well as the point of view of the team, of the 3 casualty notification officers tasked with carrying out this life-shattering assignment. What was the process? What was your process for selecting these notification officers from this military unit?
Well, at the beginning, when I thought about, again, what we say in Hebrew, shchol, and what the literary translation is bereavement, I think. So I thought about it. In Israel, it's a very unique sphere in which the intimate and the subjective, the individual lives meet with the collective life, with the public life. So I thought, how can I tell this story? How can I bring it to life in front of a camera? And then I thought about the 2 sides of the door. And I wanted to show this moment of eye contact between the system, its representatives, and the family. So when I thought about those 3 officers, again, it's not only me, it's me and Ohad Milstein, which directed with me the film and also produced it and photographed it. So we talked about it a lot. What would be the face? So we wanted people who who can talk in a complex way about this job, because this job, it has a protocol, and you want someone who can tell or who can teach people about the protocol very simply. You are not an Israeli. Most of the audience of the MJFF is not Israeli, I assume. So they have to understand what is the process. Like, you knock on the door, but first of all, you have to see if the door is the right door, because you can only imagine the catastrophe that would happen if those three soldiers would knock on the wrong family home. So this was very important, but also you want people that can remember those missions, the people they've met, to tell the story about different families and different notifications, and also people that has the ability of, I would say it's to remember themselves in this situation, to think about what they felt, how it is for them to come home after being an entire week in another family house. And I wanted them to be different from one another.
When we think, or from the American audience, and as a rabbi, these notification members of this unit, you made the decision. We hear some information about them, but I guess the decision was made not to include any background as to how the soldiers typically accepted into this notification unit. The American Jewish community would be inclined to think that this would be a task more suited for an IDF rabbi. Thinking about someone, with a yarmulke, a kippah, someone connected to their faith, possibly. For sure, I know as a community rabbi, all kinds of Bikur Cholim and notifications, and being accessible and available, and to walk with people on their journey through all the life cycle events. In the research for the film, what did you learn about the recruitment process and training for the soldiers in this unit?
Okay, so it's mostly volunteers,
Okay.
mostly people after the military service that didn't necessarily was in the casualty force, and those are people that come to the decision. Maybe they have a friend who is a casualty officer. Maybe it's the father-in-law that has this unique job and tells them about it, and they feel that it's something they can do, like they can go through those experiences. And then they go to the casualty force, and then there's a very long process of picking just the right ones. And then they go through a course. It's an official study of the protocol of the situation, and they also have groups to talk about, and they make like staged notifications just to see how they act. They always begin at the job of the casualty officer number 3, the one that is searching for the door, that is making sure that this is the right home. So then as they already saw the job, the mission, then they see how officer number 1 is acting in different situations, and then how officer number 2, and they go along.
One specifically mentioned being in reserve duty. Another has a daughter serving the IDF. The final soldier mentions that he has 4 daughters. So I guess this is a unit that soldiers are not drafted into immediately upon entering the army.
No,
And
it's only people already released from the army.
okay, so only they've already completed their their mandatory military service. Are there any?
Yes.
I guess that's the. Is there any age requirement? Because I saw that most of those officers were officers. Most of the soldiers.
They get the degrees with the part. The part
Okay.
comes with the officers, but I thought what you said about the perspective of the American audience, thinking about it would be a rabbi who's delivering, but I think in Israel it's a bit of a paradox, because here we don't have a difference between the religion and the state. The Israeli state is the Jewish state, but not everyone in Israel is religious. So you want to come, you want to make sure that when you knock on the door, the uniform, it's clean, it has no identity. So if it's a religious family, a non-religious family, if it's a lefty family or a right-wing family, they can all take those officers in.
Thank you. The soldiers in the notification unit mention the need many times to be very clear and resolute in their communication. There can be no mistaking the message that they are delivering. When discussing the role of the soldiers in these teams of three, we kind of mentioned this. It was mentioned that notification officer 3 verifies the home. Notification officer 1 knocks on the door. What, if any, is the specific role of the notification officer 2?
So I would say the specific role of notification officer number 2 is the non-specific. He should be the one going through the home, always with his eyes on everyone. I'm not sure if everyone remembers this, but the Moshe, which is the officer notification number 2, which we interviewed in the film, tells that when they came to one of the family homes, there was a little girl. She was 11, he says. She lost her brother, and he keeps saying, my eyes never left her. And he says then, I have 4 daughters, but I also think this is also something that is the exact operation of notification officer number 2.
In your research for the film, did you maybe uncover the reason for why these officers or these notification soldiers are sent in teams of 3?
This is something no one speaks of a specific reason why they've decided. I think from what I know about those kind of operations, it's strange to say operations because it's life moments, it's life-changing moments. I think if one of those 3 is distracted, is broken, you have another 2 officers. And also I think if, people, it's always chemistry. So if, I don't know, the mother of the fallen soldier is not that keen about officer number 1, maybe she can relate to officer number 3 or officer number 2.
During the silence segment, there was a very intimate moment where you took us inside your world during the period of anguishing limbo, knowing that your brother was declared missing, but not yet knowing his fate. The narration explains that when you blew out the solitary birthday candle alone in the bathroom, that you were pleading for your brother to return. What was it like filming this scene for you?
I was 13, like the movie explains, when Itamar died, and I'm 39 now. I was 38 when the film was first released in Israel. And this was one of the first shooting days. It was about 25 years after I lost my brother, after the original birthday moment. And I remember I spoke with one of my best friends. She's an author, she's an Israeli novelist. And she told me, this is the most beautiful moment of the movie, aesthetically, she said. This is the most aesthetically, most beautiful moment. And I hope that now you're making this kind of memory a jewelry and you're setting this girl free. You're taking her out of the bathroom. And I think when we filmed it, and I wanted it to be dark because I wanted everyone to feel this, like the feeling inside of the memory, inside of your head, something that keeps on living. And we closed all the lights in the house, and Emmanuel, the actress, the most talented, intelligent actress that played me, she's just a child, and I looked at her and I had to direct her to tell her what to do. How is she feeling? And it was so subtle, and I explained it to her, and then she blew out the candle and she looked at me and she said, "Is it okay? Did I do it okay?" And I just looked at her and I said, "It's perfect. You are perfect." And in many ways, this was also the moment I looked at myself at the age of 13, and I told her, "You're just fine. Everything is fine."
What was the process? It was such a moment, just as you reconnected with your 13-year-old self. What was the process for selecting the actress that portrays the younger version of you in the film?
Well, again, I'm so lucky I have a partner to this film, because we met a, a few girls actresses. We auditioned a few of them, and Emmanuel, she's tall, and I'm a short person. I'm 160 centimeters. This is how we count in Israel, and she's very tall. Like she's a bit taller than me, even though she's 13 years old. So I was very worried about it. And Ohad, my partner, he looked at me and he said, "But she looks so much like you." And I said, "Okay, I'm going with you. I'm going with you." And on that first day, she was just, again, I think, so intelligent. She managed to keep it so small and yet so full of emotions, so detailed to me. So I'm very thankful for Had and for beautiful Emmanuel and for her parents for going through with us.
In the consideration of time, this is my second to last question as we wrap up our interview. I wanted to mention that the photos and the video recordings of your brother Itamar, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory forever be a blessing, brought us so much substance to your film. It is important, I think, for our audience to understand the unit. Immediately, the soldiers from the beginning of the film, the soldiers in the white and the navy fatigues, that your brothers served in an elite unit of the IDF, comparable to the Navy SEALs here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
What message, what do you want the audience to take away about his legacy, about his service in this unit, to be on the front lines, protecting all of Am Yisrael, his legacy, that we continue as we watch this film to think about his life, his service?
Well, I do have a very strong relationship with what is the Israeli Navy SEALs, and also with the American foundation, which calls the AFINS. But I have to say that for me, Itamar is not a soldier. He is my brother. He is so much more than the one wearing the uniform. And when it was the Yortzeit, the 20 Yortzeit of the mission, when Itamar died, the Israeli Navy SEALs, the Shayetet, they've made a ceremony which each of the family of the 12 killed in this mission, this specific mission, chose one song, a song that the soldier loved, that they think about this fallen soldier when they hear about. And we had like a family council, and I said it should be the Straits Brothers in Arms. Which I don't know how many of you at the audience know, but for me, it's also a song that Itamar really loved. He really loved Dire Straits. It's also a song that speaks about the solidarity that soldiers have with one another in those endangering missions. But it's also, for me, I feel Itamar was my sibling, but I feel what he taught me and what is the legacy I am left with Itamar is to be a brother to everything, to the animals that you meet along the way, to the mountains, to the sea, to the people, to your family.
You know, there was a moment in the film with you and your brother interacting with the home video footage. It was just so incredible seeing the two of you together and seeing the love between brother and sister. One of the in the segment titled Abba, you speak with your Abba about the first Shabbat, about that first Shabbat after Itamar's passing, about how for a long time he couldn't bring himself to sing. Right now, we are recording this interview during Hanukkah. You are in Israel while the war is now in its 68th day. In the film, during the final segment titled Birthday, you and your Abba share a moment in which he is assisting you in your preparation to recite the Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. As a rabbi, as an IDF veteran, and a person who is deeply appreciates your film, I'm curious about your relationship with Judaism. How has your Jewish journey been? Has it evolved?
Well, I am the daughter of the Israeli dream, which means I have a mother, which her parents came from Europe, and they were communists, if it's okay to say it to an American audience, and a father, which his parents came from the Arab. The Arab states around us, and which is a religious person. And in my home, my father is religious and my mother is an atheist. And I am the child of both, and they live together still in a beautiful marriage. And one of the stories about me is I'm the youngest, and I have, again, as the film shows, two brothers. One of my other brother, who is not on the film, but I was very anxious to learn to read because I wanted at the Kiddush Shabbat to read with the boys, and I wore kippah as a child, a yarmulke, and the first thing I did when I learned how to read was to memorize Eshet Chai, which is part of the Kiddush Shabbat. I didn't know this is something you say to the women, but I wanted to be like the boys about everything that is. I'm not sure I even wanted to be with the boys, as if now I know to say that text, literature, this is my territory. This is where I feel curious and alive. And I'm also a poet. I'm a poet and I'm a literature editor. And for me to be Jewish is to be very rich because I have such a big bookshelf, such a wide, such a I forgot the word for ancient, such an ancient wisdom to be with me through everything. So for me, this moment where I could say the Kaddish above Itamar's grave was a moment where so many aspects of who I am, of my identity, came together. Itamar's brother, Aya, the writer and the poet, and the Jewish legacy, which is the spiritual legacy I'm part of.
There's so much that I would want to speak to you about. This is one of the aspects of your film that I was drawn to. You and your father, and learning together and growing and reciting this ancient prayer. How your film continues to generate conversation and discussion. What is the audience, what do you hope that they continue to discuss after watching your film?
This morning is a very difficult morning here in Israel because we lost 10 soldiers in one day. And I think there's a moment in Mount Herzl when the Lior, the casualty officer I speak to, she says, I stand here and I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe in the amount of graves. There are so many. And I have to say, this is something, I don't know if people should discuss it or should take it into themselves to contemplate about, but this is going on for too long. And we should do active stuff in order to stop this cycle. This is such a difficult time.
It is incredibly difficult, and may their memories forever be a blessing. All of those soldiers that are lost defending the nation of Israel, defending the Jewish people everywhere. May we continue to remember them, think about them, and never forget. I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you to director Aya Elia from the movie Fika Vadelet, Knock on the Door, for joining us. Once again, thank you to all of our members, our sponsors, our community partners, volunteers, and all of you film lovers for participating in the Miami Jewish Film Festival. Thank you so much. Shalom uvracha, peace and blessings to all of us. Take care.
Thank you, Rabbi Jess. Thank you.
Thank you.